Hello, hello. Welcome to ARMA League Season 3, Week 10. We're in the top 8, Hanchans 7 and 8. Just the final two sets of Hanchans before we have the cutoffs. We're going to have a quick look at the score sheet before we get started. And we're going to start a little bit earlier today just because there's a lot to discuss. So, these final four sessions, 4 Hanchans. Each of the teams has 2 Hanchans to make it to the top 4. Once you make it to the top 4, scores are halved, so the big priority for each team is to make it into the top 4. Now, these are the standings as we go in. So, we can see here that our cutoff is at Tanya Sensation on 260.7 points. A whopping 139, almost 140 points above Aeromangosaurus, which means Aeromangosaurus has quite the uphill battle to make it to the top 4. Not far behind them is Tile Dreaming at 110.6 points. But these guys have such a huge margin before they need to make it to the top 4. Now we do have a very safe position for AUNSW Wanderers and Ron Devil Ron, and partly it's Suanko. These teams are sitting pretty nice above the cutoff, especially considering there are only 2 Hanchans left for them in order to not make it into the top 4. Now, what is the most likely outcome that we can see happening? Well, what we can see is that this is the schedule as we move into things. So we have this game on the right here, which is going to be the most interesting game because it does involve AUNSW Wanderers, Tanyao Sensation, Tile Dreaming, and Eramongosaurus in the same game. Now, very importantly, it's Tanyao Sensation and the other two teams that are competing for Tanyao Sensation's position. So what they're going to be incentivized to do is to try and make sure the Tanyao Sensation comes fourth while also getting a first position themselves. That will put them in the best possible way of getting to that fourth place overall. Now, if we even consider that, the pure difference between the first place UMA, which is about plus 50, compared to the last places, which is minus 30, that's already an 80-point difference just getting first and last place. That doesn't mean that it's the be-all and end-all. If they can get a second place and Tanyao Sensation gets a fourth place, that is also fine for those teams. The important thing, however, is that, well, the primary thing is that they get first place, and the very strong secondary thing is that Tanyao Sensation comes last. Now we have the game over here on the left, but if we look at the standings as we go into this game on the left, it is quite difficult for Urasan and Unistar Fan Club to get into the top 4. They would need about plus 200 points to make it, which is going to be a little bit difficult, unfortunately. So this is the situation as we go into the top 8. This is extraordinarily interesting because what we're going to see is a lot more positional play as we go in, especially because these two teams over here need a specific point spread. They can't just go for a generic point spread right now. What's also going to be interesting is to see how these teams behave. Will these teams decide that they can start farming points because the other teams are not playing perfectly consistently? Maybe, maybe not. It really, really depends on what situations they presented. Will they total up? Will they think, I'm going to make it in the top 4. I don't want any shot that I get out of the top 4. As long as I don't even take a bad last place, I should still be in the top 4 after this set of Hanchans today. Or will they take a more aggressive position? Since they know that Tanyao Sensation may be trying to be a little bit more passive, maybe they can suspect that Eramongosaurus and Tile Dreaming are more aggressive, so they can prey on their aggression, because if like, let's say a player from AUNSW Wanderers, let's say that they get into Tenpai, and they know that these two players have to push no matter what, they could just reach you a lot of their hands, because even if they do get unlucky and deal in, very often if they're reaching and the other players are pushing in, they're just getting more free points. So this is the kind of situation that we're currently in right now. So how does it fare? Now we're still waiting for the games to start up, I believe. We are still waiting for games to start up. But it's gonna be fun. I'm really looking forward to seeing how these teams behave, and especially how these teams adapt their strategy within what they need. So yeah, I hope you guys will join me. It looks like we're running into a few technical difficulties regarding coming into play. Let's see. Yeah, so we're still running a few technical difficulties. I think that we're not really going to start on time this time around. Unfortunately, some of the players aren't showing up on time. So I think what we're going to do is we'll put on another sort of quick hold and quick interim just to see how, let this progress. We'll be back in 5 minutes before the game starts. We are back, okay? Hello, welcome back to the ARMA League top 8 Hanchans 7 and 8 just before the cutoffs. We are about to jump into this first game, and we've chosen this game because it is probably the most relevant. We have IOSQ from Tile Dreaming, Weeb from Eromangasaurus, Tanya 1K from Tanya Sensation, and Hapon from AU Wanderers, and it is going to be a fight tight between these three players. As we get into the heat of things, we have IOSQ in the east seat, Weeb in the south seat, Tanya 1K in the west seat, and Hapon in the north seat. Dora is the 3-man. Looking around here, we do see some interesting shapes. IOSQ already opening up with two completed melds now, and we've got a Kanchan, a Shabo pair on the right, a very strong hand to start things off. Unfortunately, the Dora 3-man is isolated. He's going to probably want to hope to draw next to the 3-man before continuing. On to the right over here, we see that Weeb has got 2 Hatsus. Could call for a cheap hand, Hatsu only, if they want to shut this hand down for IOSQ. Or they might even be able to Richi it, Richi Hatsu or Richi Dora 1, something like that. Depends on how fast they want to take this hand. Tanya 1K, we've got on the opposite of us. Really got one shape of the 6, 7, 8 man. Now draws the 9 man Unko. So they are 2 Shanten away with some very strong Kutsuki tiles, but they will need to work to make sure that the hand can do something. And we have Hapon on the left here with a pair of the north, which is their win. They may call to try and make this hand extraordinarily cheap and just move it on. After all, they are on AUNSW Wanderers, so they are in the position to be able to just move hands on. They don't need to gain that many points. They're just gaining as many points as they want. It's completely up to them and how they want to pace this kind of game. Ishan 10 here for IOSQ. Still 2-man draw is an amazing draw for Weeb. Puts them into Ishan 10. Richi Dora 1. Maybe might be a Roundman if they draw that 3-pin. 7-man draw here does put IOSQ into Tempai. However, IOSQ does see 2 of the 9s in the pod, but they do... Sorry. They see 2 9-stars and 1 7-star in the pod, but they still decide to take that Richi, using that early 4-star hopefully as a Suji trap. But there's only 1 tile left in the wall for IOSQ, but sometimes 1 is all you really need. So we'll see where it goes. 7-pin immediately cut by Hapon. Hapon doesn't want to deal into the dealer. Has no reason to deal into the dealer. Weeb on the right here, cutting the 2-pin. Still Ishan 10 on a Ramen Ishan 10 now. Very likely to drop that 4-pin. And will probably drop that 6-0 if they get a hand that can push. 6-man is offered, not taken. 9-pin is drawn. Puts Tanya 1K into Ishan 10. 7-man. Into the 7-man. At the Hatsu. 8-pin is drawn, puts them into Tempai. 1 4-man. Will they decide to take it? They do decide to Oikake Richi. 1 4-man. Not wanting Tile Dreaming to get any momentum here whatsoever. So what do you have? We have 1 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 tiles left. So we have 1 versus 3 right now. Richi Dora 1 versus Richi only, but the Richi only is on the dealer's side here. 8-pin is drawn. How aggressive will we be playing here? I've already cut the 2 Hatsus, mostly signaling they're going to back off, but they can get back into Tempai. Will they decide to push that 7-man? If they do decide to get back to Tempai though, 1-so is drawn, relatively safe tile, doesn't want to risk it, cuts the 8-pin, which is absolute Genbutsu. Electing to choose 100% safety. 2-man is drawn, 1-so is dropped still, in Ishan 10 therefore Weeb. 4-man is drawn, unfortunately, dealing into Tanya 1K. Reach Dora, no Dora, 3,200 points. As we move on the dealership to Weeb, that's a very important move for Tanya 1K, shutting down the momentum of one of the teams that are chasing Tanya Sensation here. Opening up hands here, we see that a Hatsu and a Nan pair, therefore Tanya 1K can call... Whoa, got Dora 2 actually, because the Dora Hatsu is the Dora. So they've got a grenade hand over there. Oh my gosh, Nan Anko. 9-man Anko over here. Ryokaku is dropped. 5-pin is drawn, bringing Weeb closer to Chitoy Tenpai. Still 2 Shanten away though. Seven man is drawn. Can choose to drop the 8, so chooses to drop the 7-pin though, which is fine. It makes sense. Six man is drawn. IOSQ still fiddling. Shanten does drop the 2 Shanten. Does drop the Hatsu instant pawn from Tanya 1K. Already a minimum Mangan over there, but IOSQ does have a very, very efficient hand here. Once they drop that 8 so can draw 1, 2, 3 pin, 5, 6, 7, 8 man to get into Tenpai. 1 man draw for Tanya 1K. Has to choose which Ramen to drop. Which Ramen does he think is the weakest? Drops the 4 pin, not liking the look of the 3, 6 pin over here. Ton draw 4 Weeb puts them into Tenpai. Chitoy. Interesting decision. Do they decide to re-cheat at this point? Or are they going to look for a better weight? They do decide to re-cheat. Cutting the 2 mob, waiting on the 6-0, looking at their pond. It does seem like Sozu is relatively weak, and they're hoping that one of these players will have to drop it. Instant Nan drop by Tanya 1K. Tanya 1K not wanting to mess around with Weeb, not wanting to keep the stronger Ishanten, but electing to move around, avoid the Ipatsu deal in. We still have 1 6-0 left. In 1 man draw here for IOSQ. Unfortunately, IOSQ has kind of signaled the fold with the 4-so cuts. Seems like a lot of these players are getting out of the way for Weeb, which gives Weeb the perfect opportunity to try and sumo this hand big. Now, keeping in mind, their ideal situation is that they come first and Tanya 1K comes 4th. But they can live with they come first and Tanya 1K comes 3rd. That is not an untenable position to play from. Just about how aggressive these other players choose to be. 5-so is drawn by Tanya 1K, but Tanya 1K is solidly out of the game at this point. Can redraw into Tenpai sometimes, but doesn't seem like the primary goal of their hand here. 7-pin draw for Hapon. Hapon not likely to mess around. Yeah, doesn't want to deal in. Doesn't even want to think about dealing in. Just gets out of the way. Let's Weeb have this hand. Hopefully goes to Ryokaku. Sometimes Weeb sumos. All they need to do is avoid disaster here. Still 1 6-0 left in the wall. Where is the 6-0? 1 draw left for Weeb as well. Doesn't get it. But 6-0 is now Nakasuji. Will that bait either Tanya 1K or IOSQ to deal in? Tanya 1K unlikely to deal in now they've drawn the 3-so. 6-pin is drawn, 6-pin can be dropped, and we do have a Ryokaku, so 1,000 points from every other player goes to Weeb. Very, very importantly, Weeb does maintain their dealership, which is the far more important factor here. As we move into East 2, Dora is the 2, so we have 1,300 points in the middle. Looking at Weeb's hand, it is okay. There's a few shapes there. It's a little bit slow men's end, but maybe if they can draw that Haku, they might be able to pawn it away and go for a cheap open hand. Unfortunately, we can already see the 2 of the Hakus in other players' hands, so they will need to pair it soon if they want to take advantage of it. Moving over, we see that Tanya 1K has paired both the Easts and the red dragons, and with a pair of Tusos. Their hand is looking like a monster hand yet again. But we have seen that the Tanya 1K is more likely to step out of the way in this series. It seems like he's erring towards caution, erring towards not dealing in, relying on that 140 point difference between Eramangosaurus and Tanya Sensation to carry them most of the way through. Doesn't need to push their hand forward, doesn't need to push the issue forward, doesn't need to push themselves in a risky position. Looking on our left, looking here, IOSQ has called twice, looking like they're going for a Tanya only hand. Both trying to shut down Weeb's dealership and just winning a few points. Sometimes those points do matter. Winning the 1.3k in the middle especially matters a lot. On the left here, we have Harpon, Ishan 10 for a Pinfu. Maybe a Pinfu Dora 1. Drops the 6-0, indicating they're never willing to drop the 2-0. They will never ever drop the 2-0. They're willing to drop the 6-0 in that scenario. Oh, that is a small backfire. I could have dropped the 2-0 now for a Infunomi on a 1-4 man weight, but not too much of a backfire. I never wanted to cut the 2-0 anyways. Oh, that's not that much prettier. Drops the 8-0, indicating that they're still trying to play with the 2-0, still trying to, well, involve the 2-0 in the hand. Doesn't want to release into the wild, especially with Tanya 1K open with the call of the red dragons, open with the call of the 3 pins. Ton is pond, and now we do have Tanya 1K in Tenpai for another 8,000 point hand. 5-8 man for Chun, Ton, Dora 2. And now these other players have a tricky position to be in because they do need to compete. 7-0 is cheat by Weeb. Weeb needs to catch up here. 3-6 man, 5-8 pin, Ishan 10 for Weeb. 5-8 man, there's a lot of 5-8 mans left in the wall. I think there's 5 tiles left for Tanya 1K, and if they can win this hand, it will not only shut out Weeb's dealership, it will put them in a nice solid lead going into East 3. 8 pin is drawn by a ton IOSQ. Will they drop it? It would put Weeb into, oh, drops the 6 man, which does also put Weeb into Tenpai. Oh, and the 5 pin is instantly dropping 1K, Tanya 1K, and this is the worst case scenario for Tanya 1K, dealing into Weeb. 5,800 points plus the 1,300 in the middle puts Tanya 1K in a worse position, and more importantly, continues Weeb's dealership, continues Weeb's ability to be able to continually gain points, and this is hugely concerning if you're Tanya 1K in this position, and amazing for Weeb. So yeah, we're gonna see. This is just very, very important. If we look at Weeb's hand again, we've got a pair of the Souths, which unfortunately can't be pawned. It is a guest wind. A few very awkward shapes. Some nice shapes as well, but mostly fairly awkward shapes. Tanya 1K opposite us, really opening with a junk hand. Very likely that their strategy is to try and draw either the South or the White Dragon or the Green Dragon and try to just call for a cheap hand. On the left here, we see Harpon with a completed Meldon 7-8-9 man and a Realm in the 2-3 pin and 4-5 man, but everything else is just awkward shapes that's left behind. Not really much use to anybody, unfortunately. And IOSQ over here again with another hand that is, not so bad. It's potential 4-5-6 Suntracker chance, but we'll need to draw that 5 man. Very likely that based on how IOSQ is playing, they will eventually drop that 2 pin and force in the 5 pin usage. Not wanting using the reduced efficiency because they know that they are going to be using the 6 pin. Now we're going to the decision, does drop the 4 man, gives up on the Sunshoku chance for the much higher efficiency. 3 man is drawn by Weeb. Will Weeb elect to drop the 9 pin or drops the 7 pin? Wants to keep that extended Manzu shape, especially if they can draw something like a 2 man or 1 man. All of a sudden they're Ishan 10 for an Itsu, which would be really nice. Otherwise though, that hand's looking very likely to be a Pinfu or Richinomi, really. 7 so draw for IOSQ. IOSQ can drop the 2 pin at this point. and does keep the shapes, keep the Dora usage, and keep the Hatsuanko. Only really giving up on the 3-pin efficiency, but if you were never intending to cut the 6-pin anyways, that loss in efficiency isn't so bad. Tenpai here for Hapon, waiting on the 7 Sotanki. No Yaku, not wanting to put themselves in a risky position for a no Yaku hand. Makes sense to me. Can draw a lot of tiles that put them into a pin through Tenpai. We'll wonder what they will do if they draw something. Okay, never mind. They do decide to Riichi Hapon, deciding that because of how desperate the other players are, they can just Riichi and take those 3 points. You know, they're up for grabs. 7-man is drawn by Weeb. Weeb drops the Nan, not wanting to give up their lead. Okay, 5-8 pin. How many do we have left? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 tiles left in the wall. A lot of tiles left in the wall for this 5-8 pin for Riichi Pinfu Dora 1. Does Sumo it? Riichi Pinfu Sumo Dora 1. 1 euro would be huge. 2 euro would be better. Okay, 1 euro though. 1,300, 2,600. Puts them into a very close second place. Weeb not so happy about it, but still retains that first place position as we move into East 3 with the Dora, the 3 pin. IOSQ's hand down here, we see that we've got a completed meld in the 7-8-9, so we've got a realm in the 5-6 pin, a Penshan in the 1-2 pin, a pair of Norths, not so bad, not so bad. We have Weeb on the right here with quite an atrocious hand, to be honest, very disconnected, not much usage, maybe a 1-2-3 Sanshoku in the very, very far off future, but not likely at all. Tanya 1K opposite us. We've got the Shun pair again. Seems like Tanya 1K is just holding all of these Yakuhai pairs. We have a 3-5-6 pin with an Aka 5 pin. Very likely to see, well, not very likely, but wonder if we'll see a 6 pin drop to force in that 3 pin and Aka 5 pin usage. On the left here, we have Hapon with a potential Chitoi, but we also have Hanitsu or Bakahon shapes going on here. We will depend on how Hapon chooses to play this, if they want to open up, if they want to keep themselves closed, if they want to gain a lot of points, or if they're happy just to move around along. Really depends on how they want to play. With a non-pair, now we do see the Hapon is Chitoi Ishanten, and now the most interesting thing is if somebody discards the Nan, someone discards that Nan, they're going to do a 4-pin draw for Tanya 1K is the best possible draw that they could get. Now they are 2 Shanten from Yakuhai Dora 2, or maybe even Double Ton Dora 2, which would be an instant 12,000 point hand. It'll put them right back into first place. Tuso is drawn by Weeb, puts them ever closer to Ishanten. Still 2 Shanten though. Will probably not likely want the... Well, unbeknownst to them, they want to keep that Shun because it is blocking up Tanya 1K's hand. Tanya 1K really wants to be calling 7-mans, wants to be calling 5-mans, wants to be calling 2-5-sos. And that hand weighs heavily on getting either the Chun or the Ton. Now, if Weeb progresses, Weeb is very likely to feed into them. Oh, that Aka 5-so is almost going to force that Chun out, and it is pawned away by Tanya 1K. Now, Ishanten for Yakuhai Dora 2, or maybe even Double Ton Chun Dora 2, which would be a Mangan as well. 5-so is drawn here by Weeb. What will Weeb decide to do? They just decide to keep the set with Ishanten. 5-so is Chi. Now we have a tempo for Tanya 1K. 5-man Ton for the 5-man Ton for the Yakuhai. Yeah. Oh gosh. So we do see here that Hapon wanted to go for the Chantanomi. That the call shifted that north into IOSQ. Sumo Riichi Sumo Dora 1, 1,000, 2,000 points hand. Very important for these two players because now it puts Tanya 1K in last place. This is absurdly important. It puts Tanya 1K exactly where these two teams need them. Now they just need to come first. That is a double re. That was almost a Chiho chance. Double re waiting on the Penshan 3 pin, double re Dora 1. That's gonna breathe some life back into Tanya 1K. Still got 2 tiles left in the wall. Not bad for a double re. How will these players react? Will they play aggressively or defensively? I do wonder about that. Especially if we look at Hapon over here, who has a very strong hand, is already Tenpai on the Hanshan 3-mon for Tanyao Dora 1. Dharma on the 6-mon, hoping someone will cut the 3-mon Suji, which could come out of IOSQ, especially IOSQ punning that 5-pin. Ooh, avoids it temporarily, but it's could signal a lot of trouble for IOSQ, especially if they... Oh no, they do call the 5-man. Now it's involved in their hand. Unfortunately for Hapon, they draw the 5-man, which would have been their Sumo if they'd chosen to go that way. It's unfortunate the tiles don't really play that way sometimes. We still have 2 3-pins left in the wall. 2 3-mons left. Sorry, 1 3-mon left in the wall. Hapon over here. How much are they pushing this hand? They do decide to Oikake Richi on the Karagiri 3-so. So they draw a 3-so, and they cut the 3-so in the middle of their hand to make it seem like they've just gotten to Tenpai. This is very tricky, especially because of the 6-man drop on turn 5. 3-man just looks so much safer now. We're going to see a 6-man dropped for now from Weeb, but if Weeb doesn't draw anything safer... Oh no! 3-so... drops the 3-man and it does deal in. Richi Tanyao Dora 1, a disaster for IOSQ. Ura 1 puts it up to a Mangan, and Hapon goes to 41,800 points. That is a harsh blow to IOSQ and Tile Dreaming. And yeah, Hapon is really just smiling. He's got all these points, and really both Weeb and IOSQ are the least happy about that encounter. Weeb needed Tanyao 1K to be lower on the list. Tanya 1K, yes, they probably would have preferred to win the double Richi, but this is not such a bad outcome. Having one of your direct competitors go directly underneath you is pretty important in this scenario. And Weeb is just thinking, how do I get first place? And how do I ensure Tanya 1K stays last? I need to start direct hitting Tanya 1K if they can even set that kind of thing up. IOSQ with a 6-0 draw has a very, very pretty hand here. Especially if they can draw a 4-pin. If they could draw a 4-pin, that would make their hand much better. Looking around the hands, Hapon's hand's looking quite mediocre for now. It does need a lot of help, but Hapon's not in a desperate need for points at this point. Hapon can really do whatever they want. 5-mon draw, therefore Weeb puts them into an ideal Ishanten for Richi Pinfu. Could be Richi Nomi if they draw the 1-pin or the 3-so, but will likely take it because no matter what, they will get a good weight. 4-man draw for IOSQ makes their hand absolutely amazing. What will they do? They drop the 7-so. They want to keep the Shabo of the Hatsu and the 9-so because it also keeps their Chitwa Ishanten. I think I would have liked to see something like a 6-so draw. That way, if you draw that 8-so, you can still reach it on the Kanchan 4-pin. Reach E-Peiko Dora 2 is quite powerful. Also drop here. 4-pin drop by Weeb. Just cuts it back. Not willing to force the 4-pin usage. Just wants the most efficient hand possible. 4-pin is cheated by Tanya 1K. Who is currently now Tanya Dora 2 with a pretty wide Ishanten. But not many draws of that Ishanten get them into a good weight Tenpai. Yeah, so they do end up on the Kanchan 7-man weight. Tanya Dora 2, 3,900 points. Very important. 2 7-mans left in the wall. 4-pin draw for Hapon. Upon edging towards Tenpai. 4-pin draw for IOSQ. Takes that second last one. Now Tenpai for the 9-so Hatsu. 4-so draw for Wii. Puts him into a 5-8-pin Tenpai. This is going to be very important. IOSQ really needs to win this hand. Weeb both needs to win and not deal into this hand. Otherwise, they're going to lose their strong positioning for first place here. How many tiles do we have left? We still have 2 tiles left. No deals in for IOSQ, and this is an ideal outcome both for IOSQ and for Weeb. This is a huge hand for Tanya 1K to be dealing into. So we go into South 1 with Tanya 1K in last place. Harpon is in the first place though, and that's the next position that these players are going to be going for. But Tanya 1K is in a bunch of trouble. They're going to need to find a way to get out of here if possible. Otherwise, they've put themselves in a lot of danger. That being said though, if Harpon sustains their first place, not so much danger after all. We do see Harpon skipped the North Pawn and looked too awkward to play with. Didn't want to get rid of their safe tiles. Looking around the hands, we have IOSQ with not such a great hand after all. And we have Weeb on the right here with a pretty okay hand with the 1-3-3 man, the 3-3-4-6-8 pin, which is not so bad. Completed meld in the 7-8-9 so, and a pair of the 5 so's, not so bad after all. 6 so draw for Weeb. Could drop the 5 so, could drop the 1 man, but the 1 man is Dora, so I don't know entirely about that drop, but you know, they do decide to just progress towards this direction. Also draw for IOSQ. Drops the 9 pin. Hand is still very, very awkward, unfortunately. 3 pin draw for Tanya 1K, and that is an amazing draw for them. That completes one of their most awkward shapes. They still need to draw an 8 pin. They still need to see if they can work with something along the Manzu, but that helps a lot. They need this to catch up. Upon still pretty much very half committed to the hand. Pretty much telling me, hey, either this hand builds itself or I do nothing with the hand. So keep forcing in those honors on the right there. Doesn't want to drop the Hatsu. Doesn't want to drop the Chun. In fact, it seems like they're even going for Honitsu. Feeling this is the only way they can get value. Weeb over here, when they dropped the 9, so it seems like they were indicating they wanted to go for something more Tanya based, rather than going for like a more regular, like a Pinfu or a Ricci. Maybe they just want to pass on IOSQ's dealership cheaply. Chun draw here for Harpon. Now Harpon's hand is starting to look very, very scary. Very, very scary after all. 8 so draw for IOSQ, fills out the 7-9 so shape. Drops the 2 man, wants to force in that Dora usage. 2 man could be cheated by Weeb. Will they decide to cheat it? No, they elect to skip it for now. One man draw for IOSQ. IOSQ can now try to force in both Dora usages, trying to go for something a little bit more expensive. 5 so is drawn for Weeb. That is an extremely important draw. They can now drop the 3 man and go for the... Oh no, they elected not to. They could have gone for the Ryangman, Ryangkan, Ishan 10. So the 4-6-8 pin and the 3-4 man Ishan 10, which would have been fairly powerful. Elected to keep both the 3 pin and the 3 man. Maybe finds it easier to pawn. Maybe they feel like if they can reach it, they can trick someone on the 3 man weight. Lots of different potential answers here. 3 so draw for IOSQ. IOSQ now in Ishan 10. Can drop the 7-9 man, can drop the 2 so as well, and does elect to drop the 2 so. Maybe not feeling that they can get another 1 man, but the 8 man looks a lot stronger. Certainly a possibility, that's for sure. 3 so draw for IOSQ. Now they're in Realm Ishan 10. 1-4 so looks okay here. From their perspective, the 2 so is cut off and the 1 so is 3 cut, which means that there is 1 so left in the wall. Very, very likely there's 1 so left in the wall from their perspective, and they would be correct in this instance. Whether or not they can draw it though is an entirely different question, and if they can't draw it, that shape and the 2-3 so is suddenly not very strong at all. Still 8 man draw for Tanya 1K, puts them into 10 Ishan 10 for Tanya. Will they call the 5-8 pin or the 5-8 so? Really will depend. They do. 3 man is drawn. Hanchan 5 pin Tenpai for Weeb. Weeb takes it. Tanya Dora 1. Dama, unfortunately the 5 pin is already dead. However, if IOSQ draws either the 3-6 pin or the 1-4 so, it's very likely that 5 pin will come out. 8 pin is drawn, offers Weeb a chance to switch weights into the 7 pin. Chooses not to take it. Chi of the 8 pin. Tanya 1k now in a Tanya 1k Tenpai. 4 So is drawn, and that spells disaster for IOSQ unless they can. No, they can't, unfortunately. Deals into Tanya Dora 1, 2600 points for Weeb. As we move into South 2. Now, this is very, very bad for IOSQ. IOSQ needs a second place here. Ideally even a first, but oh my gosh, look at Hapon's hand on the left here. Hapon with the Haku pair and like gorgeous Manzu shapes on the left here. Haku really not working for anything right now. Like this is going to be their hand if they can get it along. Chooses not to take the Fremont, still not taking any risks, doesn't want to open themselves up to anything. 8 So draw for Tanya 1k. Four So draw for Weeb. Weeb elects to cut the West pair. They're going very greedy with this hand. They want this to be Richie, Tanya, Pingfu, Dora 1, or Mangan, that kind of thing. 4-man draw is going to dampen that chance quite a bit, unfortunately, but it's still very, very possible. 8-man draw, though, and that puts them into an ideal Ishan 10 for Richie, Tanya, Pinfedora 1, or even Richie, Pinfedora 1. Lots and lots of things that could happen. 9-man draw for Hapon. Hapon still needs a little bit of work, maybe 2 Shanten away, but 8-man draw there for Weeb. Will they drop the 7-man or the 8-man? Drops the 8-man back. 8-man is dropped. Cheated by Hapon. Hapon now is Shanten for Honitsu Dora 2 or Honitsu Itsu Dora 2 or Haku Honitsu Dora 3. It depends on what tile they draw Tenpai. Ishan 10 also for Tanya 1. Oh, sorry. Ushan 10 for Tanya 1k. Pay is pawned by IOSQ. IOSQ figuring that maybe somebody is storing the Hakus and they need to end this hand cheaply, and that would be their best shot at coming second. Forso is drawn by IOSQ. IOSQ now Ishan 10. So drop still meandering around Ishan 10 there for Tanya 1k. And unfortunately, if Tanya 1k were to get into Tempa, they'd have to cut the Aka 5 pin. Tempa here for Weeb draws a 9-man, reaching pin for Dora 1, waiting on the 1-4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tiles used up, 2 tiles left on the wall. Tenpai for Hapon, waiting on the 5-8 man. Honitsu, Itsu, Dora 2. That is a Mangan. Tenpai also for IOSQ, Pei Dora 1 waiting on the 5-6 Manzu. Oh, 5-man is drawn by Hapon. That is a Mangan Sumo for them. That puts first place very out of range for Weeb, unfortunately. Now, this is... We've got a conflicting position here for Tanya 1k. If Tanya 1k ends up in last place and Weeb comes seconds, that's not good for them. They would still be, 40,000 points? It's like plus 10 versus minus 30 or something like that. The 40,000 point closer between Weeb and Tanya 1k, on top of however many points there are as a difference between them. That would not be a good situation for Tanya 1k, but it is certainly a lot better than Weeb coming first. So they're not in a great position, but they're not in as awful of a position as they could be. So we will see how this hand progresses here. We have a Chun Anko there for Tanya 1k and a pretty decent 2 Shantan. They got another 2 Dora in their hand. Chi-Toy Ishanten now for Tanya 1k. I don't know how much Tanya 1k wants that Chi-Toy though. Probably prefers the Chun Dora 3. But sometimes you have to play what the tiles give you. Also draw here for IOSQ, puts them into Tenpai for the Chi Toy. Not electing to go for Suanko, just taking the Tenpai right now. Richi's on a Tuso Tanki. Richi Chi Toy, if they can sumo it and hit 2 that would be a Haneman, and especially hitting Tanya 1k for that Haneman Oyakabari would be very, very significant right now. Iman draw, drops the 9, so we playing a... We've not really too many options, to be honest. Like, there is not enough information here to fold properly. Could have dropped the 1 pin, but plays it a little risky and drops the 9. So, drops the 6-man after Tanya 1k. Hop on here. Very likely just to be folding out. Yes, that is what they're doing. Weeb is in a delicate position where they both want to play safe and they don't want to give Tanya 1k any tiles. Tuso just became Suji and Weeb could deal in on that Tuso. Gets rid of the 3-man Genbutsu. Tenpai for Tanya 1k. Good. Which way are they going to choose? Because if they drew the 6-pin and they sumo the 5-pin or the... Okay, they do decide to take the much greedier weight. Waiting on the 5-pin pay for Chun Dora 3. Maybe Dora 4. And if they sumo, especially on the pay, it would be what? Chun, Sananko, Dora 4. Or something like that. Chun, Sananko, Dora 4. And that would be a Haneman, which would get them solidly back into 2nd place. How many pays do we have left? We have 1 pay and no 5-pin. So it's a 1v1 right now between IOSQ and Tanya 1k. Oh, this is a hard race. Which tile's gonna drop first? If Tanya 1k drops that Tuso into IOSQ, that would be a disaster for Tanya 1k. It would set them even further into last place. But yeah, likewise, if IOSQ... Oh, that Tuso is drawn! Unfortunately, IOSQ's hand is dead, and now they are a fish out of water against Tanya 1k, who still has the live draw. Man, if Tanya 1k can get that pay... Oh! Rinshan? No, no Rinshan. Drops a 7-pin. Would have been a Rinshan if they chose the 4-7-pin weight, but they didn't, so it's fine. Still, 1 pay left in the wall. No Tusos are left on the wall. Tusos are done. Another Anka. And draws the final pay there for Harpon. Harpon now not... Even though they flipped the 2 Dora for... Oh my god! Okay then. So we saw Hapon can't drew the final weight of Tanya 1k and drops the 5-pin new Dora into Tanya 1k, who runs Hapon for a Haneman, taking Tanya 1k completely out of last place, which is a godsend for them. This is exactly what they need. Now, the interesting thing here is that they've put themselves into striking range of 1st place. If Weeb sumos something huge here, if Weeb sumos a manga right in this position, not only will they be 1st, Tanya 1k will be 3rd, and they will face that Oyakabari. That's important, because even though they would like Tanya 1k to come last, it is far more important if Weeb can get that 1st place position, which just became extraordinarily attainable. So we're gonna have to see what happens here. Four-man draw here for hop on in Ishan 10, Ramen Ishan 10, Richidora 1, maybe 6 pin is cheat by IOSQ cheapening their hand, but might be able to push Tanya 1k off of their dealership. We have an Ishan 10 here on our right here from Weeb. I want to see the stars align here. If Weeb can get that 8 pins, not super likely considering there are 2 8 pins already in Tanya. Okay, 3, mind you, 3 8 pins already in Tanya 1k's hand, but if they can get this hand off, Richi Tsumo, Dora 3, maybe even hit an Ura, that would put Aeromangosaurus in an extraordinarily strong position for first place. We have Tenpai here for IOSQ waiting on the 4-7, so Tanyao Dora 2. Okay, so Tanya 1k is in a lot of trouble if they draw that 8 so, because that 7 so will come out. Oh, it's likely to come out. And that will deal into a 3,900 point hand to IOSQ, which would be not good. A lot of the other draws, though, are fine for Tanya 1k. It's just the 8 so draw, which is bad. Unfortunately, there are 3 8 so's in the wall, so there's a lot of opportunity to draw an unfortunate tile for Tanya 1k. On the left here, we still see Ishanten Hell for Hapon. Hapon improving their Ishanten, but not by much. 8-man draw for Weeb. Weeb can get rid of that 7-9 pin Penchan. Drops the 1 so. Puts themselves into 2 Shan10, but enables a Tanyao. 3 so is drawn, immediately dealt into by IOSQ. Reach imparts Dora, no Ura Dora, but it solidifies Hapon's first place. Now we've got an interesting dilemma for Weeb here. Does Weeb win cheap? Ensure that position difference between Tanya 1k and Tanya Sensation and Aeromangosaurus. It's not great, but it's achievable. Or do they go for a first place on a Mangan Sumo? Because I think they are barely in range. Yes, they are barely in range of a Mangan Sumo to first place for Weeb. And I think this decision will be made very quickly. It's when they get offered a 2-so. Will they pawn it? Will they pawn the 2-so? Go for something cheap. Or will they pass the pawn on the 2-so? Go for something expensive. That's really up to them. This is the very important decision they have to make. Are they comfortable with playing at almost like an 80-point chase? 6-pin draw, not too much of an improvement for Weeb. Kind of an improvement, but not really a big one. Four-pin draw here for IOSQ. Will they get rid of the Haku? Will they get rid of the 3-so? We get the 3-so, and now Weeb has a decision. Will they put? They don't decide to. They are playing greedy. They want this first place. They have a gorgeous Ishanten here. Ramen, like the 2-2-3-so and the 3-3-4 pin, like are playing absolutely efficiently right now. So they can go for something extraordinarily greedy. Go for that first place sumo. Makes the next Hanchan a lot easier to play. 7 pin is pawned by Tanya 1k. Tanya 1k a little bit far away from a lot of Yaku. Needs another Haku, but the Haku is mochi off, or needs Tanyao. But Tanyao is a little bit far away as well because of the 1-man pair. Another 3-so was offered to Weeb. Will that put enough pressure on Weeb to take this 3-so? They do decide to take the 3-so. Oh, that 7-pin. That 7-pin has put Weeb in a position where they are no longer playing for greed. They are just playing to shut out the dealership. Haku is pawned. Now Tenpai for IOSQ 3-6 pin. Dangerous to take the 3-6 pin. No, they don't take the 3-6 pin. 2-so's drawn. They're considering keeping the 2-so anchor so they can con it. Because they might be able to con themselves like 3 or 4 Dora. No, they don't decide to keep it. Ooh, that 3-pin would have been sumoed by IOSQ. 2 pin is drawn by Tanya 1K. Tanya 1K, what are they going to do? They got the 2-star. That's fine. That's fine. They're still safe for now. Especially because it helps their hand. 3 mana is drawn. 5 pin could be dropped here. 5 pin is dropped. Boom. Taken. Weeb takes second place. So we have Harpon in the first place, Weeb in the second place, Tanya 1K in third place, and IOSQ in last place. Let's have a quick look at the leaderboard before moving on. Actually, we'll go to the interview first. I don't know who Harpon is, I'll be honest. A lot of people that these guys rename themselves. ESP. Yep, there we go. Okay, so ESP has elected to skip the interview, but we'll have a quick look at the score sheet before we move on. Before we move on to the thing. So these are the scores moving on. So we had, this is the score line, not really affecting too much, especially because these two teams are very far away from the playoffs. The more interesting score line is this one over here, where we have Tanya Sensation taking a small third place, and Eramangosaurus taking a small second place. Unfortunately, due to the nature of Tile Dreaming's position, this eliminates them from the running, and Harpon just gaining points for their team, just like that. So this is our standings going into the final set of games. We have, how much is this? 117.2 difference between Tanya Sensation and Eramangosaurus. Very rough. They will need that first last place differential between Tanya Sensation and Eramangosaurus, but it is possible. Now, are they on the same table? Yes, they are on the same table. This is very, very good. Now they are able to, they need to get a first place anyways. So if they can force Eramangosaurus into, if Eramangosaurus can force Tanya Sensation into a last place, well, that's 80 points. So they need like a 30,000 point difference between their scores. So Nosti can't have a small first place. He needs a strong first place. So, have the game started yet? I can't tell. Ah! Refresh. Okay, well, my screen is not showing another thing. I can't seem to look at it. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go on a quick pause. We're still waiting for the games to start. It'll take 5 minutes for us to catch up. Please stay tuned. We are going to be watching to see who makes into the top 4. Eramangosaurus or Tanya Sensation. We'll be right back. Hello, welcome to ARMA League Season 3 Top 8 Series. Final Hanchan of the Top 8. This one will decide who makes it through. So, we have less than a minute before the game starts. Oh, it just started. So we have Tanya 1K in the... Tanya 1K in the East seat, Unifan 48 in the South seat, Chewy in the West seat, Nosti in the North seat. Now, big people to look at here are Nosti and Tanya 1K. Now, if we have a quick... I'm just going to calculate it on stream. So, what is it? 247 minus 129.8. 247 minus 129.8. So we have 117.2 point difference between Tanya Sensation and Eramongosaurus. Now, the difference between first and last place is 80 points, which means that on top of 80 points, Nosti needs to be 37.2 points above Tanya 1K. So they need a first place. And they need a first place where Tanya 1K is in last place, and they're 37,200 points ahead.
Gee.
This is not easy. Especially when you consider that these other two players don't actually have too much to play for. So, Chewy here can just play for points. They can play for whatever they want. Unifan here, their team is not going to make it. They can do whatever they want. It is extraordinarily hard in these circumstances to get that aggressive first place position. That is what is needed of Nosti in this. Ricci for Chewy, waiting on the 4-7 pin. Ricci only for now. Nosti looking for that 8 pin so you can do Ricci pin Fudora 1, which would be a nice way to start off. We still have Ishantin here for Unifan. And if Unifan draws the 8, actually, I don't know which Unifan. Let me have a look real quick. This is DC. So DC on the right here is Unifan 48. Unifan gets that 8 pin. Or if Tanya 1K cuts that 8 pin right now, Unifan will cheat and drop the 7 pin and deal into Chewy. On the one hand, that means that Tanya 1K is less likely to get dealer repeats. On the other hand, though, it would mean that Unifan is putting themselves in that last place position. 6 pin is drawn, 7 pin is drawn. That's the third 7 pin. We only have 2 tiles left. No, there's the fourth 7 pin. We only have 1 tile left for Chewy. 1 so is drawn. Tenpai for Nosti. Nosti does not cut the 6 mine and Ricci. He chooses to play this hand defensively. 8 pin is cut. Cheated. And 7 pin is dropped. Ricci only 1,300 points. Moves Tanya 1K's dealership off. He's actually relatively okay with that. No big Oyakabu or anything like that. And Tanya 1K just needs to avoid last place, because if they don't come last place, then Nosti needs like 50-something thousand points, 57,200 points above Tanya 1K at least. That is way too difficult. That is extraordinarily difficult. You're looking at huge simmos back to back to back for Nosti. What is going to happen here is the key question. We're gonna do here. Okay, so we're looking at East 2 here. We have a very strong hand here from Tanya 1K. 3 Dora strong shapes. If Tanya 1K can convert on this hand, he may not need anything else. Because All they need to do is avoid last place. If they can win a Mahjong, it makes it very difficult for them to come last place, especially if they play in a way that doesn't mean that they want points, but they just want to avoid losing points. So is drawn. Technically, Ishanten for Tanya 1k chooses not to take it, wants to keep the 2-4-4-5 so shape. Seven pin is drawn by Nosti. That's huge. If Nosti can get that 4-man, and there's still 3 4-mans in the wall, that would be a really strong Ricci. Dora 1. Oh, actually, no. I've just noticed that the 2 tons are in Chewy's. Make it a lot less strong. Oh, 4-man. Oh my god. Ricci. Ricci for Nosti. Ricci. Ton 8 so. 2 tons are already dead through Chewy. 1 8 so left in the wall. If they can get this, it would be very, very important. Sumo. Nice Sumo there for Nosti. Ricci Sumo. Dora 1. Ura 3! Is this happening? Do we see it happening? Going into East 3. Ura-san has put Nosti into first place. Now, we see that Chewy has dropped the Dora turn 1. Not interested in using the Dora whatsoever. What do we see when we're looking around the hands here? Nosti not really got too much going on. Has the pair of chuns, has some nice shapes. It's a fairly cheap hand. May just want to pass on Chewy's dealership and get their own dealership rolling. On the right here from Unifan, we have a few Ankos. Could even be Su Anko maybe if they draw very, very well. Has to see what's going on. 1-man pawn there for Chewy. Chewy drawing for Chinitsu or Honitsu. Very, very awkward Chinitsu or Honitsu. 1-man is drawn by Nosti. Nosti moving towards this chun only here. Would be a good way to make sure they retain their first place. They do need a strong first place. 6-pin is drawn. Again, moving towards that safer, to that cheaper hand. 5-man is drawn by Tanya 1k. Drops the 8 so. So drops. Chewy still going for Honitsu or Chinitsu. How many tiles are is DC going to give away to them? That is an important question. 6-man is drawn. 6-man is given away. Doesn't take it. Makes the hand too awkward. 1-pin could be dropped here. Drops the 5 so. Doesn't think about the 5, 6, 7 Sunstroker chance. Just wants the Rishi Nomi. 8-man could be taken. Takes it. That's the 6 so. Still going for the Chinitsu. 1-pin is pawned. Now we see another Honitsu Chinitsu. Maybe even a Toy for DC on the right here. Now Chewy's hand is a lot stronger in this scenario because all of the tiles in the Manzu that Uni that DC drops are going to be given away to Chewy, but you see here Chewy dropping those 8 pins, dropping the 9 pins. It's not being given away to DC. So the Honitsu is stronger on Chewy's side. Oh, the Chinitsu is stronger on Chewy's side. Oh, that 5-man draw now making that 5 so drop just a little bit more risky. 8-man is dropped by Nosti. Ishanten for Chewy. 3 so's dropped. Pond. Tenpai. Haku 7-pin. Haku is dead. 7-pin is 2 left in the wall. Toy only. Six so's offered. Taken. Drops the 6-pin. Chun 5-pin Atazuke. Chun is the only tile that can win for Nosti. South Dora draw. 7-pin is drawn. Unfortunately, deals it to Toy, but it's a Toy only. 2,600 points. Not so bad. Not good though. Nosti can't be giving away these points because he can't have a soft first position. He needs a strong first position at the end of this Hanchan. So, East 4. Dora is the 6 so. What do we see here? We have a pair of Hatsus here for DC. DC can try to shut this down cheaply. Depends on what they want to do. Tanya 1k with a pretty decent hand. A few Realmans, but it's a little bit slow. Chewy's hand is worse than Tanya 1k's. It is very slow and very cheap. And Nosty's hand is pretty slow and pretty cheap as well. So this is the battle of the beaten down trucks, right? Like which broken truck is going to make it past the finish line first? Uso draw for Nosty, could go for Chitoy. 6-man draw is very important for Tanyao. Is this a Kokushi attempt here from Unifan? Could be indeed. Eight so draw for Nosty, puts their hand into 2 Shanten. Sometimes this hand is San Anko, but that 8 so lets them use the Dora if they draw the Dora. Drops the 6-man, doesn't want the San Anko chance. Not willing to drop the 4 so nor the 8-pin. Just wants to keep the efficient shapes. Just wants this hand to progress. Wants to progress their dealership. 5-man, like a 5-man, would that change their mind? Or are they going to drop the normal 5-man now? Drops the normal 5-man, keeping the same spirit. Ishanten here for Chewy. 7 so 7-pin. Richi Nomi as of right now. But if Tanya Wonki can draw that Dora, all of a sudden they are Richi, maybe Sanshoku, Dora 1. 6-0 is drawn, dropped by DC. 3-0 unfortunately is drawn, doesn't do too much. Drops the Shah. Seeing the 2 Shahs cut means that Nosty is not wanting to mess around with the Shah pair, wanting to keep that 3-so in case they redraw that 4-so. 2-pin is drawn. That's the Shah. Still, look at these hands. By turn 9, everyone's got such an awkward hand to play around with. Tanya Wonka has essentially probably got the fastest technically hand, but Unifan's probably got the scariest with the Yakuhai Honitsu, but it has a lot of work before it'll get there. 3-pin is drawn by Nosty, drops the 1-pin, goes headless, hoping to utilize that 2-2-2 3-so shape. And at some point, is Nosty gonna start calling for Kaiten? And at some point, is Chewy gonna deny Kaiten from Nosty? Okay, Nosty can drop the 3-so here, go into Ishanten headless. Could also drop the 8-9 pin if they're thinking that they could redraw on that 1-so or 4-so. But it is very fruitant if they draw the 4-7-man. Drops the 8-9 pin. Has a lot of faith in the 2-2-2 3-so Entotsu shape. Nan is drawn by DC. DC now in a very strong Ishanten shape. 3-man is drawn by Nosty. Could get him into a lot of trouble, especially if Unifam draws that 8-man and waits on the counter on 3-man. Could get Nosty into a lot of trouble. Drops it now. Gets him out of trouble for now. 1-man is drawn. 1-so is dropped. Tanya 1k not willing to drop that ton into DC. Doesn't want to come last place. Doesn't want to feed this last place person. 4-man is drawn. Unifan cuts the 7-man, going for the Toy. Going for that Hariman. Potential Baiman as well if they can draw it. 4-man is drawn free. Could take the 6-9 so, which would not be free 10, or could take the 1-3-4 so. Takes the 6-9 so. Richi Dora 1 could be Dora 2 if they can get that 6 so. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 tiles left this late in the game. 4 tiles left in the war. That's an insanely good weight from them. 6-0's drawn by Chewy. Takes away one of the weights. Still 3 tiles left. Tenpai for DC. Nan 2-man for Toy Honitsu Yakuhai. 6-0 is drawn and unfortunately does deal in. Nosty Richi Dora. No Uradora, 7,700 points. Does retain Nosty's dealership and he doesn't deal into it. It's a good win for Nosty. However, that puts DC in a pretty strong last place position. Like, you have to remember that Nosty, if Tanya comes third, and that's not even given the scenario where Chewy comes third and it becomes even worse. If Tanya comes third, Nosti not only has to come first, he has to come first by 57,000 points. That is like at this stage needing to be on like 80,000 points. So it's far more beneficial if he can either start hitting Tanya 1k, which is the preferable outcome, and he's not too fussed about if DC starts hitting Tanya 1k. So Tanya 1k has a bit of a task ahead of him. Is he going to play safe? Is he going to play aggressively? What is he going to do in this position where there's so much risk if he deals in? But there's also a lot of risk in letting Nosti continue his dealerships. If Nosti continues his dealerships, you get into a lot of trouble. 6-pin is cheat by Unifan using that Aka 5-pin. Going for Tanya, Dora 4. However, needs to get rid of the 9-man and the 9-so, which will be tricky. 2-pin is an amazing draw for Nosti. Puts him into Ishan 10. Pretty cheap Ishan 10, but it's Ishan 10 nonetheless. Could be an Itsu as well. If they can draw something like 9-pin. Yeah, if they can draw a 9-pin, they'd be able to go for the Itsu as well, which is much more preferable. 4-man is cheated by Tanya 1k. Tanya 1k wants to end Nosti's dealership right now, choosing to play a bit more aggressively. 5-pin is drawn. Tenpai for Nosti. Penchan 7-so. Rishi no Mi. Tenpai for Tanya 1k. 6-so, 7-so wait. Tanya, it's a Tanya 1k hand. 1 7-so left in the wall, and 3 7-mans left in the wall. So the Penchan is currently in the advantageous position. However, DC is progressing towards Tenpai, especially with a very strong hand. Cannot get that 6-so though. Tanya 1k folds on the 9-pin, so no longer active. Gives the 3-man away to Unifan. Now Tenpai waiting on the 2-man 6-so. 2-man is 2 left, 6-so is 0 left. So we have 2 2-mans versus 3 7-mans left in the wall. One hand is 8k, the other hand is right now 2,000 points, unless they hit Urodora. Oh, this is going to be a rough one, especially if Nosti gets hit by this Mangan here. They will both lose their dealership. But on the other hand, oh god. What are they going to choose? Are they going to cut the 6-so Nakasuji? You got 6-so Nakasuji. Now switches to the 4-7-so. Wait. Still only 2 tiles left for that 4-7-so. It's still a 2v... 3 now to 2v2. 2 7-mans, 2 4-sos. 1 4-so. So 1 4-so, 2 7-mans. Oh, 7-man is drawn. It deals in. Deals in. Richi no Mi and Nosti is still going off. No Urodora retains dealership. Doesn't lose. This is very, very good for Nosti right now. Again, still the same dilemma as before. Doesn't really want DC to be coming last place. Would prefer Tanya 1k comes last place, but he would much rather that than DC win that hand, especially with how much of a monster that hand was. We're going to East 4, repeat 2. Dora is the 3-pin. Nosti opening up with a very impressive hand over here. In the primary seat here, Tanya 1k with 2 Ryangmans, 1 completed meld, 1 Penchan. Very strong hand. Yes, stronger if they can get that 3-so. Unifan over here going for the Honitsu in the bamboos. And Chewy over on the top with a pair of the North Winds could pawn it away and go for something very, very cheap. 6-so is drawn by Tanya 1k. Tanya 1k now in Ishan 10 for Richi Dora 1, or maybe even Richi Pin for Dora 1 if they can get that 3-so. 2-pin draw is amazing for Nosti. 3-so draw is even more amazing for Tanya 1k. 3 6-man. 9-man is dropped. 3-man is drawn by Nosti. Unfortunately, deals into Ipatsu. This is a disaster. Because not only is it an 8k transfer, but it puts Tanya 1k into second place. And now, Nosti is in a very awful position. If Nosti needs to knock Tanya 1k out of this place, while also getting first place again. Fortunately, both of the goals have roughly the same path to get there. It's just very, very awkward for Nosti now. Nosti needs a lot of wins in a row. He needs to keep winning. He needs to keep drawing and keep winning. Yeah, what do we say about this hand here? Because we're going to South 1. Dora is the 9 pin. Nosti not got a very pretty shape at all. We have Chewy over there with some very nice tiles going on, but how aggressively Chewy will play is entirely in the air here. Hatsu pair for DC, unfortunately just too late after the second Hatsu has already been cut. Oh. DC's got a very cheap hand, unfortunately, for now. Drops the Hatsu. And how strongly will Nosti play into Tanya 1K's dealership? You can't really afford to let Tanya 1K have a dealership. If Tanya 1K has a dealership, it's a disaster. Alonso draw. He rejects the Ishan 10 there for Tanya 1K, but determined to use that 7 pin. 2-man is drawn. Could try the 7 pin for a Tanya Ishan 10, or a 3 set for a Tanya Ishan 10. Does take Tanya Ishan 10, needs a 7-man or a 3-man. 6-0's drawn for Chewy. Chewy now in a tempo for a Penchant 3-man. Little bit awkward. Oh, sorry, a Penchant 3-man or a Contract 5-man. Takes a Contract 5-man away because it's easier to upgrade. 10. Oh no, Ishan 10 still for Tanya 1K. A little bit better. If they draw the 7-man, they can have the Intotsu wait.
Reach.
Pay draw by Chewy. Chewy Tsumogiri Richi. Still waiting on that Contract 5-man. Still have 2 5-mans left in the wall. Richi, Tenpai for Nosti. Richi's on the 3-6 pin. Richi Dora 1 needs these points, plays aggressively. Unfortunately for him, there's only 2 6 pins, so we have a 2 versus 2 weight situation going on right here. 6 pin is drawn. Now it's a 1v2 situation. Tanya 1K really needs to only play safe. Very likely they could drop the 2 pin. 2 pin is 100% safe. Yep, and they do get through that turn. 1v2 situation here. 2 5-mans, 1 6 pin left in the wall. Also is Chi, Hanchan 4-man Tenpai for Tanya 1K. Drop the 8 pin, it's fine. 9-man is dropped. All of the winning tiles are left in the wall. We have Tenpai from everybody. And we move on to South 2. 2.3k in the middle. Tanya 1K still in second place, in a very good position here. Nosti has a little bit of an interesting conflict of interest. He does want DC to run Tanya 1K for something here. He needs DC to have some points here. Because if DC stays in last place, his task is a lot harder. He needs 57.2k above in order to make it possible. So he actually does want something like Tanya 1K to deal into a 12k hand from DC. If he does that, then Tanya 1K suddenly last place, and getting 30k over that only requires like a 50k first place. So much more achievable. in draw.
G.
2-pin is cut, puts DC into, I think that's 2 Shanten for like a Chanta, maybe like a Chun Chanta. Pawn on the Chun. Still Ishan, now Ishan 10 here for Unifan. 9-pin is drawn by Tanya. Tanya drops a 3-mon, wants to play safe. Tenpai for Unifan, waiting on the Kanchan 6-pin. Chun Dora 1. 8-so draw for Chui, puts them into Ishan 10 for Tanya Dora 1. But needs that 6-pin as well. The 6-pin is currently used up mostly by Nosti in this scenario. Nosti holding onto that anchor of 6-pin, which makes it extraordinarily difficult to use. Shah pair here for Nosti. Nosti also doesn't see any Shahs on the board. Will they drop the 9-pin? Maybe dropping the 9-pin, going for this Shah pair, wanting to pawn the Shah, and then be able to go for no, decides against it. Doesn't want to cut the 7-9 pin, especially into Unifan. Khan by Unifan. New Dora is the 1-so, gives Nosti a Dora, but that's about it. And still a Kanchan 6-pin Tenpai for Unifan. I think that brings his hand up to, I think, a 1,600 point old sumo if they can get there. 8, 16, 16. No, it would still be 1,300 points all. Four-pin draw. Nosti in the awkward position where they have to decide if they want to drop any tiles. 5-pin is 9-pin is pawned. 5-pin Tanki for Unifan. Now Tenpai for Chun Dora 3. Sorry, Chun Dora 2 if they can win this hand. Very difficult for them to win this hand, but if they can, it would be Chun Dora 2, which would be a 7,700 point hand, which is not bad for Nosti, not bad for DC, very bad for Tanya 1K if they can get there. They don't even mind really if Tanya 1K, if DC Tsumos this hand. 6-pin is drawn, Tenpai for Tanya 1K. Tanya 1K can reach Shi into this hand if they want, or they can play passively and fold. What would they decide to do? They cut the 7-mon, taking the middle path here, taking Tenpai, not risking their hand, but doesn't take the better weight. Oh, is it a better weight? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it's a similar weight and takes the Dharma. 7-pin is cut. Tenpai and Tenpai. So we have 4 7-mon Tenpai. 8-mon is sumoed by Tanya 1K. Tanya Sumo Dora 2. Tanya Sumo Aka Dora 2 puts Tanya 1K in a first place position, and now Nosti is in this position. DC has lost their dealership, so getting out of last place is very difficult for DC. Nosti, even if like Tanya 1K was 3rd place, you need 57.2k. On 2nd place, you need 77.2k above, which is going to be the highest scoring. We'd have to be here all night. We'd have to be here all night watching Nosti sumo over and over and over and over again. That is essentially what we'd have to do. So what is going to be done about that? 4-pin is cheated by Chui. Chui probably going to want to try and use the Hatsu. Goes for the Honitsu as well. Like Hatsu, Honitsu, Dora 1 is a Mangan. Tanya 1K here with a very strong Chinitsu looking shape. 6-pin is drawn by Nosti. Nosti does give the 6-pin to Tanya 1K. Will Tanya 1K take it? Do take it. Now in Ishan 10 for the Honitsu. Could be in 2 Shanten away from Chinitsu. One pin is drawn by Chui. Puts them closer to Honitsu. Tenpai. 4-pin is a really good draw for Tanya 1K. Tanya 1K now Ishan 10 from both Honitsu and Chinitsu. Sha is pawned by Chui, and now we can actually see a scenario where Tanya 1K gets into a bit of trouble. If Chui draws the 1 pin and Tanya 1K draws the 2 pin, then all of a sudden, if Tanya 1K drops that Hatsu, which they just did, now they're in Tenpai for the 1 pin 2 pin. Now if Tanya 1K draws a Tenpai in the upper Pinzu and drop that 1 pin, they've dealt into a 12K, which is their shot at coming last place. And Nosti doesn't mind that at all because he needs a lot of points. 1 pin is drawn by Unifan. Only 2 tiles left. 2 pin is drawn by Nosti. Will Nosti drop it? No, Nosti holds back. 1 tile left for Chui. 1 2 pin left in the wall. 4 pin is drawn. That is if they cut the 8 pin, it's a Kanchan 2 pin Tenpai. They drop the 1 pin, which doesn't give them Tenpai and deals into a 12K, and this is the shot that Nosti's been waiting for. This does, okay, so yes, it does put Chui very close to Nosti, but Nosti doesn't mind that. It's now taken away Tanya 1K's very strong lead. So, Tanya 1K now in 3rd place. Nosti's goals have realigned. 57,200 points above Tanya 1K while also being in 1st place is the goal. Severman is drawn by Chui. Chui's hand is now extremely good, especially if they can draw. Oh, wow, that just made it absolutely amazing. We have 2 Dora here on Nosti's side of things. Could drop the 7 so here, go for Richi Dora 2. Tanya 1K, what are they going to do with this hand? Drop the 9. They're playing this hand normally for now. 1 pin is drawn by Chui. Ramen Ishante, Richi Pifidora 1. DC side of things, he's going for the Honitsu. Shun is dropped, pawned by DC. DC going for Yokai Honitsu, 8,000 point hand. 3 pin is dropped, keeping the relatively safer 1 Sir. Still Ramen Ishanten for the Richi Pifidora 1. Still Ramen Kanchan Ishanten for Nosti on the Richi Dora 2. This is interesting. 4 mana is drawn, does cut it back. There's only 2 2-mans left, but both of the 2-mans are still in the wall. 6-0 is drawn, Tenpai for Nosti, Kanchan 2-man, Richi Dora 2. They would really like a Tsumo here if possible. And a direct hit on Tanya 1K would be even better. One man is drawn by Chui. Chui deciding if they want to deal in or not. So they're cutting the 1 pin, playing absolutely safe. Doesn't find a reason to deal in. 5 pin is drawn by Tanya 1K. Tanya 1K is Shantan from Tanya Chitoi Dora 1. Oh no. Okay, sorry about that loss in connection. We are back. Sumo by Nosti, Richi Sumo Dora 2. Now begins the upward climb. Nosti needs a lot of points. So, We are in South 4. Nasty just needs to keep winning. Tanya 1K just wants to end it. Chewy just wants to end it. DC, doesn't matter what they do. They can do whatever they want. But it is Nasty wanting to win. Nasty just needs to win. We have Ishan 10 here for Nasty. Cheap Ishan 10, but a Tenpai is good nonetheless. Oman is drawn by Tanya. Okay. Tanya 1K still progressing their hand. Cheat Toy Tenpai now for Unifan. But DC can just Richi by Nasty. Kantra on 4-man. Richi no Mi. 3 4-mans left in the wall versus 1 3-man left in the wall. Will Richi switch in weight by Unifan. One so Tanky. Ipats Tsumo. Reach Ipats Tsumo Chitoi Dora 2. No Uradora, but unfortunately it does spell the end for Eramangosaurus. So this is the end of the top 8 series. We are going to have a look at the spreadsheet before we proceed. So these are the results of the games, if you guys were curious. And this is the result of the other half of the games that we didn't watch on the right here. And these are our final standings going into the top 4 series. We have AUNSW Wanderers on 735.2 points. We have in second place Ron Devil Ron on 519.5 points. Itsu Anko in third place of 433.7 points. And Tanya Sensation on 227.8 points. Now, it is important to note that by what we're doing, the final 4 people who enter the top 4, their scores are halved. So this score gap, while it looks extreme now, is going to halve when we go into the top 4. So it does spell the end of the top 8 series for ARMA League. I really quickly do want to thank the staff who put in so much time and dedication to making this possible. Cheese, who is both a player and staff member, and Totoro, who's done so much admin work for us. They run the show, they make sure that things happen. This league would not be possible without them at all, and so I want to take this moment to thank them for running this league so much. Thank you to the players who played the top 8, who really played all of ARMA League, but especially the players who didn't make it to the top 4 but did play in the final series. Eramangosaurus, Tile Dreaming, Ura-san, and Unistar Fan Club. Thank you guys so much for getting into the top 8. Very unfortunate you guys didn't make it, but we are very glad that you played. So, we will not have a break. Next week, we are going straight into the top 4 series. We have 2 weeks, 8 Hanchans of all of the same people before... 8 Hanchans to decide who is the winner of ARMA League Season 3. Yeah, with that, I think we're going to send the stream off. Please do join us next week. Find out how the Final 4 progresses. And we'll see you then.